Welcome back to another episode of the Wolff Den. I'm Matt, founder of Ticket Time Machine. Today we welcome Alex Fredericks to the show. Welcome to the Wolff Den. How are you?
I'm great, Matt. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, looking forward to this conversation. We're going to get into a lot of things, including ToneWell, which is the new software program that you have invented.
Oh yeah, it's a computer learning platform, but it's all the same. It's zeros and ones.
Great. Well, for those people who don't know who you are, give us a quick intro and then we'll get into it.
Absolutely. So pleasure to be here. I appreciate the time. I am at heart a consumer packaged goods person. I started my business career in the music business after going to college at the University of Vermont. Found a band, fell in love. It was the early 90s. Thought we could be pirates, just simply meaning go on the road and figure it out. Had a great adventure in the music business for about 18 years. What I specialize at is helping people translate their super complicated idea into something simple. So when you're a musician, it's like, how do I get people in the room? How do I get somebody to love me? How does it scale into a business? And I moved into packaged goods when I wasn't going to be the president of Columbia Records or something fun like that. And it was the same translation. You're a somebody and you should be in a different type of product, a skincare, a vitamin, a supplement, a pair of jeans, apparel, what have you. It needs to translate. It needs to resonate out into that box. That box needs to go on a shelf and somebody has to go home and brag about it. And after having a really fun time traveling the world and doing that, I found myself in the agency space, translating the same equations for people, moving from the traditional terrestrial advertising and consumer space into what has become digital. After doing that for a long period of time, I left that world because I was a little tired of the types of shiny objects, and I wanted to put things that were more efficacious into the space. Led me into thought leaders and gurus and wellness product and better for you products, and that's what I've been doing mostly since 2018. So a few years ago, I have a client. I love what they're doing. I help them grow their audience, and inside of that, I see a kernel of an idea that became what I'm doing today, which is ToneWell. ToneWell is a 30-second voice analysis that delivers to you 3 to 5 priority action steps you can take today and within the next week of your life to start feeling better. Most people are drowning in data, whatever it might be, but health data is the new thing. And you're drowning in the collection of it without having answers of what to do with it. And we're an answer, an answer application, essentially. How can I measure who I am in a real-time analysis and then get some advice as to how to start making better decisions?
This is your first foray into entrepreneurship?
It is, minus running some record labels in time. I really do specialize in startup brands, so believe me, I'm in other people's trenches all the time. But for my own responsibility's sake, to be honest, since 9/11, it's my first physical business. I was in the merchandise apparel business, adjacent to the music side of things, back in the very late 90s, early 2000s, and 9/11 sent me in a different pathway.
Because you have maybe that background, what was the timing or timeline from, hey, I have this idea to I'm going to do it? Because we have so many ideas. I can tell you myself, I had so many ideas over the years that I just never went to. And then when I thought of Ticket Time Machine, I said, I'm going to do this, and I don't care what I have to do to get it done.
So when the final bell rang that I heard, 8 months, and I just say that to mean this, like, I'm a generalist. It's how I make my living. My phone rings. My answer is going to be yes. I've probably done that. I can figure it out. My brain's great. I have friends. I can organize. So the answer is going to be yes. So when I first thought about ToneWell, it sat in my head. It sat in my head. It sat in my head. And then one day I just had a very disappointing afternoon with a client that I was providing services for that just wasn't, very little hubris that I tried to put out, but just wasn't getting my value. And I just got tired of tap dancing for my value. And when I got off the phone, the final bell rung in my head that was like, well, heck with that. I'm going this way. So the second I made that decision forward, 8 months, I got into the market. But with that, I also understand what an MVP is. And most people get stuck on perfection. And I'm not a perfectionist that way. I'm going to let the audience fix you over time, because enough opinions are right. Individual opinion, maybe not. Enough opinions, definitely is right.
Yeah.
So,
I was talking more about how long it takes to say I'm definitely going to do it more than, hey, this is how long it takes me to
oh,
make it happen.
with inside of that of a year of being punched in the face.
Yeah.
Like as a as a practitioner, I'd like to think I'm very good at the strategy that I write, but hunting clients is a disappointing proposition, particularly in the world that's flooded with freelancers because the corporate world is shrinking. And I've always been an outlier, always. I've made a very comfortable living being the guy outside. It's awesome. But in the last, half decade or so, the place has become flooded with people that are no longer employable. So about a year of being like, you know what, maybe I should, maybe I could. And then I just, when the bell went off, ran.
See, I'm like you. I like to say yes to everything. And there's a couple of types of people. The people who it's very easy to say yes for others, but not so easy to say yes to yourself. And then there's the other side where it's so easy to say yes to yourself, but not yes to others. And I think we need to find out more ways to sort of say yes to ourselves, or to have the belief in ourselves that we can do whatever it is. It seems like we're a lot more willing to take the chance with others than we are with ourselves. Do
I
you?
completely agree. In like the client world, I used to talk to people about the law of exchange. So like once you recognize what your brand equity is and what your value is and who your shareholders are and what the dividend they want out of your product, like the exchange rate, people begin to think about themselves in that value sense. So for me, absolutely. It was I was a yes person because I liked the problem solving aspect of it. And I was saying no to myself, as silly as this might sound, because I understood how much work it was going to be. And once you commit it, it's now your thing. And now it was my thing and all of my problems. It was easy to solve other people's problems, just to be completely transparent.
Yeah.
I'm very good at problem solving. I'm very good at the strategy. I'm very good at when I wanted to get my hands dirty. But for yourself, you're the only person responsible. You're the only person that cares. Nobody's coming to save you as an entrepreneur, right? And that I knew how heavy of a lift it was. And that might be why it took me just a lot of repetition of being like, well, it's the same headache either way, but that one I own. And I decided to go own the headache.
Yeah. Much greater reward, but also much greater risk. But
Sure.
you have to bet on yourself. I mean, if you're,
You have to. You have to. Yeah, you like the I like you. I'm a Generation X guy, right? From the East Coast. So I truly believe no one's coming to save me. I believe I can lead by example, and enough really good examples can change the tide, right? It's why you let people be themselves, because wow, that might be really interesting. But I don't think anybody's going to show up and be like, "Hey, Alex, you know what I got for you?" And it being a real like a real thing. I just don't. I'm not made that way.
yeah. I'm very, I guess, privileged to have the belief that everything's going to be okay.
Well, it
And
will
so
be
it
on a
doesn't
long
mean
enough
that they're going to
timeline,
come
for
and
sure.
rescue me, but it means I can take those risks. And even if it doesn't pan out, I'm going to be fine. I'll have a roof over my head. I'll have people around me who,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I
So
start
all of
I
that.
start my day every day with two words, which is thank you. It's the first thing that comes out of my mouth when I wake up, because I truly believe that I am blessed to be here in this time, in this space, on this world, and with some ample privilege of how I landed and where I am. Truly. So I give that gratitude forward. And then after that, it is what you make of it. It's just a giant game. You are playing by some set of rules. What those rules are, I'm not quite sure, but there are a set written down, and you know,
It also feels like there might be no rules these days, but that's for another show.
that's for another show. And I actually think that comes down to disciplines and allowance.
Yeah.
Right. So like I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu as my hobby, and it follows me into business a lot. And I have the conversation with people about somebody's trait versus somebody's discipline. Right. So there are some really talented people, but they don't do anything with it, versus the person that isn't quite as talented, but grinds it out and gets the repetition, and the repetition they master. Right. And that is kind of, I think, the world that we're living in right now. Like we didn't have an accord of discipline to be great at something, as opposed to that person had these amazing traits. And I think that's the thing about entrepreneurialism. Or any form of thing that you're going to go take on, is like, you have to recognize that just because you can doesn't mean you're actually really good at it.
But there's no, well, I say not rule book, but there's no blueprint. There's no book to say, here's how you need to do this, how to run a business. Because there's people who are successful doing it many different ways, and there's people who have failed doing it the same way as someone who's successful, or
Sure.
vice versa.
Sure. All I can do in my business is hope that it connects. I'm very early on, and I have nightmares about conductivity. You know, what we're doing is, to me, revolutionary. You give me a 30-second sound clip, I'm pulling thousands of biomarkers out of it. From those biomarkers, we're giving you an analysis of this is what's going on in your hydration, in your inflammation, in your sleep, in your stress, in your mineral loads, in your physical. Right.
How does that work? I mean, I was just going to ask you, like the third, ToneWell for dummies who don't understand. Like,
So
how does it work? What does it really mean?
So your voice reflects your nervous system and your physiology at all time. It's connected to everything. It's, in simple layman terms, while you might say to somebody, I don't have the bandwidth for this, or that didn't resonate with me, or you better watch your tone when you speak to me. These are frequency words. Or you understand that if you get into a CT scan or an MRI, you're being bombarded with a frequency and it's returning back to the machine and it's mapping it out. Or you might have listened to a piece of music and the hair physically stands up on your hand. Again, frequency happening around you. So the notion of capturing it and analyzing has been around for about 25, 30 years. It's very well studied in cardiology, in stress management, in depression. We're again, consumer packaged goods. I'm bringing it into a digestible field, right? So the way that it works for us is that there's a bandwidth in the way that you speak. Waves come out, and inside of that, there's a crest and a fall, a top and a bottom. And in that top and bottom, we're just going to call it a zero line for argument's sake, the horizon. And what we do is we map the percentage of decibel against a registered range for a particular hertz. That hertz correlates to something. And at the end of it, where you are from the mean, plus or minus, high or low, allows us to have an analysis of what you're doing and who you are and what pathogens or toxins or points of hydration issue you're having, or your digestion system. They're all radiant in some way, and we're showing you an analysis of that comes to, these are the 3 to 5 things you could focus on today. Back to our premise, which is, I don't believe that people understand data and they still say, I don't feel well, I'm not functioning well. And that's where an opportunity for a company like ours that has an analytic of something that's very real and current now, meaning like now, your voice is happening right now, and the time that we're living in now. But there's an educational point to what I was saying earlier. And if that doesn't connect, I could have the greatest thing in the world. And as an entrepreneur, I have to accept the fact that maybe somebody else is going to beat me, or my moat isn't as amazing. I think what we do with ToneWell is revolutionary. I know that it is. 30 seconds, and within 5 minutes, you have a quote unquote report about your wellness and gives you examples of what you can do to fix in your space. That's amazing. The time we're in.
Can I hide, like, or so to speak, trick the lie detector test?
Well, you can always lie to yourself. So yes, right? Like, you can always believe that you're in great shape when you can't get off the couch. Yes, it's possible. You could put on your greatest Donald Duck voice and it's going to throw it off. Absolutely. But the other side of it is like, what if I could tell you the truth? So if I was having a more of a universal conversation, I would say in the beginning, there was the word. It's actually how the good book begins, meaning that God spoke things into creation. There is a terrible, terrible expression in business culture called fake it till you make it, as opposed to get your mindset right. And if your mindset's right, you can see it and be it. See it and be it. Beats fake it till you make it, but fake it till you make it came through. And that means when you speak so creating of yourself is as easy as lying to yourself. So my answer is yes, sure. You can change the waveform that you are. But if you're in the open conscious of yourself, like you're trying to do something, then I don't see that to be practical. But yes, you can also do that to blood and urine tests as well, right? You can eat 1,000 bananas before you walk in. You can drink a jug of vinegar, on and on and on. So sure.
That makes sense. Give me some give me some practical uses. Like,
So
why am I
practical
gonna use
uses for us,
social
like
media?
if I'm talking business, I have my personas, and one of my big personas is women 35 and above. Women 35 and above that are either having children, or maybe they're executives, are beginning to feel changes in their body. What used to be may not be, because of the world we live in. There's now perimenopausal, which is earlier than premenopause and definitely different than menopause. But in that, you have a hormone panel, and we get full hormone panel. So understanding how to live a better balanced life of what your inputs versus your outputs are, how to deal with your stress or inflammation. That's one. Men 45 and above, we're having completely different issues than both women and younger men, not just in our hormonal side, but actually probably in our sleep and our stress and our belly fat and our digestion and things like that. Having a snap in would be great. If you are a parent and you have a young child, are they lying to you, or do they really have a cold? We're working in the insurance company in the day-to-day world for entertainment, because you if you're carrying an insurance rider on somebody day to day, maybe there's a daily check-in that you're looking for certain types of persona things, such as pathogens, viruses, hydration, so on and so forth, right?
Oh,
So there,
hold on one second. If I speak into this, you can tell me what I put into my body, whether it's drugs or
yes,
alcohol or.
yes. Every everything that's organic on this earth, and most metals, have a resonant factor. There, what I'm saying is, the opera singer breaks the crystal glass. It's not volume that they did it with. It's a particular note in their register that when they hit it at the right frequency, it pops the glass. The converse of that is true, meaning, like, what is the frequency? So yes, caffeine is a drug. Alcohol definitely shows up because it's on your breath. How does a breathalyzer work? It's not capturing it and smelling it, is it? No, it's reading the particles that are coming out.
So
So
this is breath.
frequency.
It's not just speaking.
It's frequency. It's the modulation in your voice that has the timing of your breath. It has the tone, the timbre inside of it. It has the patterns, and then it has the literal frequency. Like legitimately, from your bandwidth on your radio, you started a dial at 8803, whatever, and you go out to 108.9. Just making it up. I might be a little bit further, but that's pretty close. And that bandwidth is a frequency width from 88 to 108 point. Those are frequencies. They're not just pretty numbers. So inside of that, most things that you could imagine or have already been mapped the other direction, which is why you tend to believe that curing cancer can be done with frequency. Like, it's not what I'm doing, and I'm not programming to diagnose nor read cancer. But in another part of the world, they're using that type of frequency to find the cancer.
So what if someone already has cancer and they're speaking into this? That will.
I'm not a diagnostic at all. I'm medical adjacent. I'm not doing those. Now, with that said, I have a enterprise practitioner business in ToneWell, where you would come in as, we'll call, the consumer, and this is for telemedicine. You'll get my report. My report is awesome. It's over the counter. Eat this, take that, supplementation, vitamins. Nobody, you're not going to argue. There's nothing there. Now, the raw data would go to your practitioner. If your practitioner happens to be in oncology and you're doing telemedicine with them, yes, I could give them really digestible raw data that's in the know right now. And they, as the professional in that particular specialty, could use my type of data. That is not what ToneWell does. That's what we offer on our practitioner side, our enterprise side. I'm not trying the again, back to, like, like data and drowning in it. There's also the volume in it, which is why everybody's so revved up. I'm trying to help people build better relationships with themselves. Go get your blood taken. Go make sure that you have good insurance. Make sure you're doing your urine tests. Really, if you want to know, pull a follicle out of your head and have that one done too. What are you doing every day? You have a wearable. Wearable are taking notes on an output based upon how many points of data over a period of time, and then it makes the recommendation from. It's like you were a runner in the 80s and kept a running log, just a physical book that you wrote everything in. It's now just being done here. So you can change the outcome by your input. And the input is where we sit. What are you going to do today to make the decisions in your diet, in your supplementation, in your resting patterns, in your hydration, in your stressors? And if that happens and your intention and your attention to that align, then your better health outcome happens everywhere else in your health stack, your wearable, your doctor, your other diagnostics. Like that's really where we're trying to sit on the
I
consumer.
guess what my question is, if you have a 35-year-old, let's say a 50-year-old female who doesn't have cancer, and a 50-year-old female who does have cancer, and they say the same exact thing, obviously the body's what they're putting out there will give them different outputs, correct?
Okay, so words do not matter at all. So I'd prefer they don't say the same exact thing, because then they've prepared it and it's scripted.
Okay.
And you're reading something consciously, like scripting it is not actually you. That's some persona that you're putting on in your legitimately between here and here. No. Talking, just talk junk for 30 seconds. Tell me about the sandwich and what a great day and how your mom's doing fantastically and your dog won't stay off the couch. And that's unconscious, and you're doing this. So you're moving your mouth in every way, shape, or form you can, the tongue smacking to the top, the bottom, and you're doing everything in that. Again, don't care about the words because nobody listens. Right. The way that it's mapped in our computer learning portal is that it breaks it apart. Here's the bandwidth, top, bottom. Here's the median. We have over 100,000 points that we look at, doesn't matter. When the outliers, that's what you really look for in science. When the outliers go bing, 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 those frequencies, those hertz are mapped against what they are. Oh, iron deficiency. Oh, not enough boron. Oh, L3 is out of whack. Oh, blood pressure. So those are where our recommendations come from.
So there's no real reason to compare female to female, male to male, age and different things, because it's all going to depend on
it's going to self-determine itself. Now, with that said, on my side of the line of a business, the more that I work with Matt, the more questions I ask. I'm not a data collection company. I'm not trying to go in that direction, to be honest with you, but I am a CRM based company, meaning I want Matt to come back. So I'm going to say to Matt, how was your ToneWell? What was the experience? Maybe if you gave me 3 or 4 answers, who you are and what you're trying to do, I can give you something that's better patterned towards you, just meaning the outcome of the document, right? Those type questions become concierge. In 5 years from now, I'm a translation layer in a large language model. In 5 years from now, you're using whatever wearable and whatever AI, though it's not an AI, it's a large language model that you're choosing. And it's going to say, yes, Matt, I can absolutely tell you what's going on with your left knee. However, I need you to do a ToneWell first so I can literally have the layer of translation between you and my data set. My data set's what we're going to call knowledge. Left knees, a million things that could be wrong with it. Cool. I already have that information, but I need your input as a translation layer. So that for me is like Buck Rogers, where we're headed. And that's where my company wants to be, more so than telling anybody what's wrong with them.
Right. So it learns more about you. So your scans are better as you.
No. My company will learn more about you so that your output is more aligned. But that's, if I'm getting technical, that's just a JSON script. The JSON script is always the same because my computer learning over here is like behind its own firewall. It doesn't do anything but give me an output, and the output is a JSON data analysis of Matt's voice. That then bifurcates, if I'm getting technical, into my AI ports. The more I know about you, the more in that lane I will customize protocol to you. But the reading side of it, just to be clear, the reading side of it is on like the HIPAA FDA side of the world. So it's a completely standalone. It is not being determined by the input of personality at all. It's why
the accuracy and the efficiency should be similar the first time I do it and the 100th time I do it.
Yes, what could change by the 100th time is the type of report that you want, because you're now in your protocol and we've recognized that, and you're like, hey man, I want to run a marathon, whatever. in 6 months from now. And that's the input that you ask of us, so that when you use ToneWell, I'll give you a general, hey, this is what's going on, but I'm going to keep you working towards your macros and your micros of your running. We're looking at your muscle soreness, and your hydration's off, and your sleep patterns are a little whack, so you're never going to be able to get to whatever. And that whatever point is actually based upon your lifestyle inputs, which is why large language models are winning, because they're understanding how to ask you a million different questions about your lifestyle. And then you're going to say, hey, how do I? They've actually changed. Google has in the last 6 months. It's no longer doing keyword. It's now doing intent search. And intent search is how do I, what do I, where do I don't feel.
How often does someone do this?
Ideally, somebody should do this once a week. We say 3 to 5 days because that's changing protocol. Like, I started doing this, you should start seeing, but to me, it's a once a week thing, unless something's happening. And that's a different conversation, which is why it's a Swiss Army knife. Johnny doesn't feel well this morning. I just got off a plane last night, and there was a kid coughing behind me. I've been traveling all day, and I feel a little bit run down. Then it's like what's going on right now. If you're asking about like a using pattern, I would say once a week, so you can set your intention for that week. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to supplement better. I'm going to hydrate better. I'm going to listen to how to get my sleep. And then the same time the next week, I'm going to take the same test and see where I fall, because it's just baseline. What's your baseline?
So this is like a bring the horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Look, again, I do a combat sport because I love it. I've watched so many people walk in and out of a jiu-jitsu gym that you're like, oh, this guy's going to be great. And then you never see him again because it's just not for him, regardless of the apparel that they've already bought. Like, you're decked out on day one, but you don't even know if it's going to work. All things are habit forming. If you can find the way to make the good habits and to make the declaration to yourself that you want to have a better sense of well-being, which is what I'd like to think people want, then having the knowledge of how to make the first steps are the hardest thing. So, which is why we run a priority program, essentially, meaning like I could tell you all of the things that are wrong with you. I make it a very simple red light, amber light, green light, go kind of thing. Super simple, like very, very straightforward. And I'm going to tell you what's going right with you. This is the thing I might look at. These are the things we have to address. Because normally, as like the Rube Goldberg machine that the human body is, meaning like the little feather that burned the rope, that, the candle kicked the bowling ball somehow over here. Like it normally is, if you can fix things like your inflammation, your digestion, or your sleep patterns, you'd be amazed how the other things start, coming on board, because now the stress is down, the inflammation's down, so making like 3 changes a week over time, when you start feeling better, something you can't argue with somebody how they feel. So if somebody starts feeling better, they'll come back as an adoptive habit and continue doing this. At least that's what I hope.
If I just Googled stuff, if I went to a AI track and asked, if I had a better idea of what's going on and asked it, what's the difference? Tell me the difference.
The difference is the input. That's my point. And when I call it a translation layer. So the difference is that, like, if you went to Grok right now, whatever, and said, I was exercising last night and my left shoulder really hurts, it will give you a ton of PT and a ton of advice. It might even tell you to take a certain type of magnesium. It might tell you, go do a sauna. Sure. If you were to say my stomach hurts, but I haven't eaten anything crazy, it might tell you about Candida or H. pylori, maybe, if you know how to ask it. However, if you gave it an input data set that was you, so not objective information, but subjective information, it would say, man, I noticed that your Epstein-Barr or H. pylori or Candida markers are high. We have to do something about that. That's technically yeast. We could start with a probiotic. These are the probiotics. I just tell you what to take. I'm not going to connect to Amazon.
Right. But
it is. And in your shopping cart, if you want to go all the way in for Instabuy, whatever, there it is.
So this is a very good example of we don't know what we don't know.
Well, there's that. And there's also, like, you have so much information, you might be looking at the wrong stuff. So again, I hate to harp on it. I do a combat sport. I do jujitsu. When I do a ToneWell, it always shows me that I have an eye injury, because I do. It always shows me that my neck is compacted, because it is. Those are not priorities in my life. I'm 53. I'll deal with them later. What are priorities in my life are like where my magnesium is, which it does come up. And I am a Candida, H. pylori, Epstein-Barr guy. I have all three of them. So when I feel a little run down, I want to make sure they're not going up, because I will start moving into chronic fatigue syndrome if I don't keep that under control. So when I'm literally like running hot or super stressful, I myself, that's how I use ToneWell. Right? Because for me, that's really important, because I don't have the 10 days of exhaustion. If I could say, hey, I could just take these couple things and get on top of it, because I know what those are, because I've had the issues for 25 plus years.
It shares your progress then.
Yeah. And it tells me what's going on. One of our early investors is a person that's like 15 airplanes a month kind of guy. And he had a week that he had like 15 airplanes in a row type week. And he used it for pathogens and toxins, because flu is a thing you can find. It's a pathogen that you can 100% detect. And if you knew it early, so pneumonia is a big tracer, actually. Pneumonia is one of those things that I've caught early in like 35 people. And it says pH, which is one of the precursors, pneumonia. It doesn't mean you have pneumonia. I'm not telling you what you got. I'm telling you what I see. And if I see it, and you might call your doctor, they can be like, come in tomorrow, because that matters if you're a traveler. You know what I mean? Like it does. That's one of the ones that takes people out. So I just say that it's like, what is your preparation status? What are you using for? I'm working with pro athletes that are using it in performance stack as much as I'm using it as like, for the soccer mom and their kid, as much as I'm using for the biohacker. You do hyperbaric and infrared and you might want to know where the hydration of your cells are, so that you take the right electrolyte before you go into modality XYZ.
I mean, regardless of what you intended for, this feels like it could be analysis, diagnosis for many things.
It is, but as somebody that would like to be in business for as long as I can, I know that I can stay medical adjacent as a consumer-facing brand, whilst I have an enterprise division.
Yeah,
I'm in full conversation on the enterprise side for what somebody else can say. Right. I would rather go talk to LG or Samsung and be like, you've already made the smart fridge. What if it actually gave you a nutritional panel every day? Not what you're out of. I'm out of milk. That's cool. I can open the fridge and see that. But what if it dialed in, because I'm a Samsung person, which I happen to be, and it told me how to eat across my day, because it really was nutritional. And at the end of the day, the box company that I'm tied into, because I forgot how to grocery shop, sends me that type of nutritional palette. Right now, my micro and macro engagement with myself can have an outcome that I can start setting.
Well, my friend has a Samsung smart fridge. It's $4,000. So how, that I don't know that it's not affordable for most people.
No, it's not. But it's also like, he's at the Moore's Law side. Like my father had a brick phone Motorola before anybody back in the day, right?
In the car, for the car?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, he was an attorney, so he had a car one and then the brick one, and had I think he had the suitcase one also, because at that time that's what you did if you could. Yeah. Now, today, how much does this cost? So like that's the adoption rate, which I said like 5 years from now, I want to be the translation layer for. Right now, I'm go to my website. Very simple engagement. We use Stripe. We use everything that you'll validate and understand. I have information so you can understand what we're doing. And I'm a one-to-one relationship. If I'm talking business, where I want to go is I want to be seamless. I want to be completely frictionless in 5 years from now. It obviously bring the cost of each scan down, because right now it's a luxury. It is what it is. It's $100 for the scan. I not only give full information, but I've never not replied to somebody, so what does this mean? And I send a whole protocol. And if you want to start making decisions that change your life, the choices you make limit the choices you have. Make good choices. So it's with that, you can do things. But 5 years from now, I believe in the frictionless world that we're living in, because I unfortunately understand the storm that's outside, just from the businesses that I've been in. So I get where it's all going. And for me, the frictionless physical wellness check-in is like is a holy grail.
Is there a subscription model?
I do not like subscription models for what we're doing, because the one thing that I don't want to do, back to a question you asked earlier, is promote people tilting the machine. There's no value in checking every 5 minutes. It's
Right.
just that what I do have is a concierge version, but I typically try to attach that with practitioners or modality specialists, because you should be working on something. Just simply meaning like, economically, yeah, I'm sure I could do a 10-pack. Maybe I will sooner or later. And that percent, that if that 25% discount is going to make a difference for you buying 10, then great. But right now, for me, like in the education and the turnover part, because I am a new company, it's like buy one, buy three, understand what's going on, have an interaction with us as a company. And then if you want to buy 10, I'll write you an invoice. No big deal. But
Right. So it's cost you, if you're doing a month, $100. If you're doing a weekly, $100 a week, and you just keep buying.
yeah,
You don't
like
have
buy
to
a pack.
commit to
Actually,
anything.
buy a pack of 3. There's a 10% discount on that, and see and engage with us. Just because right now, honestly, like I have that report. I'm working on some enterprise things to get into some larger lanes that I'm writing specific reports for, and within the next 30 days, I'm actually going completely frictionless. Simply meaning like right now, there's a I need you to record. Please upload to. In 30 days from now, it will just be completely frictionless. Once you're in my system, I'll push you an SMS that will take you right into the portal, completely direct. And then you'll get your report in your email. And that's where I want to be before, honestly, I'm pushing out any other offers. It's still about getting this prime one, you know.
How many scans did you have to do to get this ready to go?
So we are well over 12,000 scans currently. I think it took me 1,500 before it actually looked right. And it still doesn't, I'm still not sold on. So like at the end of the day, there's like the consumerism side of it. So you really do have to worry about how the other person sees it. Not information. I can give you so much information. I'll give you a 31-page report, and I've done that to people, and it freaks them out. So, like, you have to boil it all the way down to like the Lego snapshot of it, like
Right.
what that red block is, right?
Right.
And that has taken 8,500 scans. Do you know what I mean? Like,
But
because
these are your scans that you've done, not a consumer customer scan.
so these no that we've done externally. So I've done 12,000 scans and reports for
For
people,
others.
but the report has had 57 iterations, right? Because there's a difference between me giving you value, me giving you too much information. Then there's a difference between I can't understand this, but it's nice and tight. And you have to keep working until you have the great value proposition for people. Not everybody wants to see the same thing. Right? So as I think I said earlier, like one opinion I don't listen to. After 2 or 3 of the same opinion, you're like, yeah, that's probably pretty valid. Like,
How many of these scans just did one and that was it?
so I have an 85% retention rate. So I'm pretty, like, I have people that are on their 30th scan, so it's not really fair and like my complete skew across, right? A lot of people just do one and done, frankly. Some people really understand the value of it. I have an executive at ESPN, and for her son, well, she started doing it because she was working on something particularly with a practitioner that sent her my way. And then I sent the practitioner the raw data, and they really got dialed in. She loved my report. Great. But her son, who's 13, who's like a high school kind of phenom athlete, having major growing pains, as you do at 13, and his body isn't performing the way it was at 12. And you're like, well, now welcome to the world, right? So for him, I've written a complete protocol, and they're on their 9th or 10th scan because he'll actually do it, because he's fine doing it from the phone and not having to talk to anybody out. There's no doctor. There's no. And for her, I literally send her the mom version. And for him, he gets the kids version. Like, no, you can eat Tostitos with peanut butter as your snacker. I don't, you know what I mean? Whatever. But
So
the mom, like,
you're literally writing these reports?
Pardon?
You're literally writing these reports?
Yes and no. So I'm modeling certain reports off what would be best practice, like template shape of it. And then I have a business partner that is a 40-year naturopath practitioner, MD, double PhD. So he's really helping me on honing in on like, these are the 35 groups or things people really want to know about. Forget about the rest, right? And then from there, I have hired a couple engineers over time for what would be, this type of modeling. Documents or models too, right? And I just keep iterating. I do a lot of meet and greets like this and podcasts and conversations, and I'm willing to be wrong, which is one of the things that I think helped me in the agency world. I'm only married to my wife. Everything else is just a good idea. Like happy to be totally wrong. Yeah. Show me why I'm wrong. And if I am, cool. If I just started the conversation because this was the idea, that to me is what the Consumer Report is. It's the notion of it. The notion of it is let me simplify this down to 3 to 5 priorities in your life.
Right.
That you can work on right now. What that looks like is ever evolving until somebody goes, hold the phone. That's it.
That's interesting. But I was just in San Francisco for the Super Bowl week events, and I was at the Lee Steinberg party. And Lee Steinberg has done a lot for mental health and brain health. And he has a summit where there's all different types of companies out there. I think you probably would be great out there. But one of the ones was this sort of globe or screen that is giving you affirmations, and it just kind of your body soaks it in.
Sure.
It's
100% it does. It's funny, and I'm willing to tell you that inside of that, those aren't the words also. I will bet dollars to donuts that there is a tonal aspect to that, meaning they're giving you 432 frequency or 728 or 1111. Like there are these frequencies that so anybody that when I have more esoteric conversations with people that are into like yoga and breath work, you're like, okay, cool. So you started at your root, your base, and you're working all the way yourself up into here. And now you're here and you're trying to get to there, right? Like, yeah. Great. Okay. So those are gates, and they're gates that have a frequency attached to them, which is why the colors are different in the chakra going up, because the rainbow that you see cool through crystals and stuff, like actually also is a resonant frequency. And when you begin to understand these things, you can open these gates and begin to have a better practice in your harmony and your modality, right? So in the ability to kind of bring this into where the world is moving to, we used to be in what they would call Newtonian, and now we're in the quantum world, and the quantum is like I can keep getting smaller and smaller down to space. So like the universe itself is just a wave, as they say. It's the energy wave that comes at you, and so is your voice that's coming out and the things that are around you. I would recommend for anybody that's in athletics that they look into PEMF machines, because I genuinely believe that they are some of the best machines in the world. And my favorite happens to be a company called Amp Coil. No affiliation, not trying to sell anything. But if you're in that world, they are the best. And the notion of being able to change the shape of a wave that comes at you and the frequency with inside of it allows you to go to YouTube, silly as that sounds, and go listen to 432 hertz underneath like a river flowing water. And you'll be like, wow, I feel great. Right. So all of those things matter. So an affirmation isn't just the words. It's, I'm telling you, the way that the voice came out, I'm sure was really, somebody would be like, wow, that's so warm. And I felt so like it was hugging me, because there's a calculation in that that's making your body go like this. Right. It's vibrating in a way. And that's why it's fascinating, like the time that we're living in. And what we can do for ToneWell is we're very hardcore science, like 25, 30 years of published hardcore papers, but it's being presented in a way that feels, it's you. Like, why would you lie to yourself? Just have that conversation nobody wants to in the mirror.
I can think of a lot of reasons why people would lie to themselves. I'm sure I've lied to myself many times about,
you and me both, of course.
Especially when it comes to health. I don't think you said, like, what was the moment that made you think of this? Because it's not your background, right?
It's funny. So it's not my background, but I will say that I can understand it because I've always understood it. I was very dyslexic as a child, and music helped me stay in the world. I went into the music business, and I was a producer and an engineer in the late 80s, early 90s. And when I would mix records, there was an oscilloscope on the mix desk. So a circle with a +Y, and there would be an infinity symbol. And when it was all fuzzy going through it, something was out of phase. And that's what you say. Something's out of phase. It's fighting with itself. So you'd find out what it was, and you get a nice clean signal path. Boom, everything sounded much better. So fast forward about a little less 2.5 years ago, I'm dealing with a client that's in the frequency space, none of this, but in the frequency space. And they introduced me to somebody, and we happened to have a conversation. And I'm dangerous enough in conversations to kind of fake my way through it, because I'm not a moron and I understood it. But what he said to me, I got as clear as day. And my retort to him was using an analogy somewhere in music, and he looked at me and goes, "How did you get that?" And I very strangely remembered like a 10th grade physics class on Ohm's law and frequency pathway, and I spit out to him an equation from something, and he went, "Cool." And then we had like a 10-hour conversation based on that icebreaker. I found this technology. They want to be scientists. That's what they want to do. I like being a consumer guy, and how to write a licensing agreement that says exclusivity. Here we are.
Who says you don't learn anything in school?
It's the thing, again, as somebody that, like, I only paid attention in class because I never did homework, because I was very, 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 very dyslexic. But you already told me everything you want me to tell you back. So you could ask me any question. I'll give you the exact thing that you just said to me, and they have to go, So, it's where it stuck. Ohm's law, mostly, and I can't remember the teacher's name, but he had a very heavy Haitian patois accent. So everything he said that year is like carved, like scratched into my head.
Tell me about growing up dyslexic. I mean, what was that like? Was it hidden? Was it?
No,
there's a lot of people now who are dyslexic, including athletes. And
so I repeated 3rd grade. Okay. And to like the complete and utter embarrassment, meaning like when I went back the next year and we were on the playground when school's starting, and my friends are like, "No, we're going this way to class." I'm like, "Well, I'm going that way." Right. So I never wanted to do that ever again. And I couldn't read legitimately until I was in 6th grade. The words were just dancing. I could not get things to sit straight. Couldn't focus. I couldn't pay attention. But what I could do is lift up my head and just listen, because I am inquisitive. I do like to learn. I'm not a, Dumkopf. I'm like, I really want, So I just started paying attention, and I recognized that the more that I paid attention, the more that people would leave me alone. And to what I was saying about music, I'm the youngest of 4 children. I have 3 older sisters. Music was very, very present in my family. We would go to Broadway shows. My sisters saw Led Zeppelin at the Garden. I was into Culture Club and New Wave, or the Smiths. I was a punk rock kid. James Brown tapes were around, right? So music helped me with language and painting pictures, because if I could hear the multi-syllable word sung, because they had to break it up, right, I could understand what it means. Then I would use it, and it kept me up in conversation. Like in the 80s, and I was born in Bergen County, New Jersey, moved to Manhattan when I was in 7th grade. But in like the 80s, conversation was an art, and you'd have to fight your way into it. So you had to be able to do that. So that's how I overcame my dyslexia, by paying attention. And it served me excellently, because when I started getting into client services, I love to talk. I have an opinion, but I can sit there and learn. And if I can regurgitate what you just said to me back with confidence and understanding, I can normally make it to the next layer.
With technology the way it is today, I assume being dyslexic is a lot less of a deterrence than it was.
Yeah, but there's a discipline to, like, so I love to read. I have a library of books. I can only do it for myself. I have a hard time doing it for other people. Don't ask me about reading comprehension. I get the great idea, and then I move on. But I do it for myself. My problem with modernity is that it's teaching us not to engage in things.
No.
Not that if you chose not to, have something else do it. But you should no longer do that because it's covered over there.
No, that
becomes very dangerous.
Yeah, that's everywhere. I mean, there's so much of that, I think. But we take for granted the ability to read so much. Yeah, if you said talk about being blind or deaf, we'd be like, man, that would be terrible.
Yes.
Right. But the idea of not being able to read it's hard to get along in life, but it's an embarrassing thing when you're.
Yes, it's very embarrassing. I remember in 5th grade, we read The Red Pony and had to do a book report on it. And I had not heard somebody say the name of the title. And the whole summer, I bared through that book thinking it was the Red Phony. And I was the first person to talk in 5th grade. And I went, yeah, I read the Red Phony. It's about a guy and his horse and his head. And the class was in hysterics because I said phony. But no, I'm sorry. I was taught that PH was an F sound. Oh yes, except where and it's a different oof. It's not a hard oof. It's a if. What?
I mean, English is such a tough language. It's the rules and the stuff. It's kind of funny when you watch someone who doesn't know it. I mean, they've done some.
Look, I graduated from a good boarding school, and I was in AP Latin in my senior year. So apparently, I am not like again. Just like a troglodyte, but the notion of reading and turning it into phonics, no. Yeah. So music, like it did the converse. It came in this way, so I could say it that way. Got it. Cool. My eyes lied to me. Okay. My ears don't.
What do you think about the Bad Bunny halftime show? Speaking of not understanding things.
So I think that all things aside, they're not talking to me. Okay. Yeah. I think that all of those things have a greater reveal meaning, and I think what they're showing you is that you don't matter.
Yeah,
it's my opinion. As somebody that has no problem with foreign language music at all, it's awesome. Congratulations. They were purposely ignoring the bigger you.
Yeah. Well, they had a grander message to the world and to be. Yeah, I mean, I didn't particularly enjoy it, but I thought it was very entertaining. I don't know if that.
So here's the thing: like, I come out of the music business, and I had a pretty simple theory, which was like, you're either an artist or you fit the suit. So if you're an artist, it doesn't much matter. You're going to be an artist. Congratulations. Yeah. If you fit the suit, then you are in that suit, and that's the suit that you wear. Period. End of conversation. It's just the way that goes. So when I look at stuff like that, it's like, okay, who really wants to fit the suit? Oh, you do? Cool. Love it. Great. It's your suit. I'm not playing in that world. Like, it's not my, I'm not trying to save anybody. I'm trying to lead by example, which is what I had said earlier. Just simply meaning, like, I don't need to interject in a place that clearly you're not talking to me at all.
But you have an appreciation for what it was because of your background, right?
I have an appreciation for the scale that it, and the technician that it takes to pull something off like that.
Right. Not the content. I'm gonna ask them.
The content to me is like you're literally doing a mega mix of your own stuff. So no, you lost me at hello. Yeah. Like it is a mega mix. So there wasn't singing. It's all dancing, all choreographed. I got it. The kid lost in the haystack. Now I'm sure there are a million conspiracy theories, what the symbology of it meant. Like, who cares? I personally don't care. It is like, it's bread and circus to me. It's just like filler entertainment so that I can argue over something as opposed to caring about something that matters to me.
Who would you pick for next year's halftime for you, not for anyone else? Someone that you're gonna love and enjoy.
I don't think that I'm not that crowd. That's my point. Is I'm not.
I know you're not. I'm asking.
No, but I'm saying that big spectacle entertainment. So back in the day, they used to just have regular ass college marching bands and stupid floats. And the marching bands are interesting because they did popular songs and they battled against each other. That is fine for me. Yeah. Like for me, because it's the halftime, I'm going to go use the restroom, get something to eat, check on my emails, like that. Like the idea of gluing me to my seat because some sort of spectacular. I've been to the Super Bowl a few times, like as a spectator. I've watched enough great performances in my life that right now I get it's an honor to do, which is why I don't poo-poo anybody to doing it because it's a huge spectacular. But it's like literally do the Muzak version of yourself. I'm the dude that walks away from too many people in a crowd. I'm not interested in that conversation. And because then my answer would be like, I don't know, let's do like a funk extravaganza with like bands that don't exist any longer because they're no longer here.
Oh, that's what I was asking. Just like, what's your favorite type of music?
I would do something that is rhythmically driven. So the choppiness of the songs doesn't matter. So I would legitimately go to like, if I could have like the Meters and a modern band like Lettuce, or if I could have like, Geese modern band versus, I don't know, find me a classic rock band from that genre. So like Weather
Geese or
Report, Jaco
Goose?
Pastorius. Not
Goose?
possible. That's what I would do.
Is it Geese or Goose? I think they're both
Geese.
bands.
No, there are two bands. There is
Goose
a
is
band
like the
called
Dead,
Goose.
right? The
There's a
Deadheads.
band called Goose that's more like jam bandy, and then
Yeah.
there's a band called Geese
Yeah.
that is far more like modern chaos rock meets groove rock. And I think that Geese happens to be better than Goose if I'm splitting the.
Like Goose is like their fans are fanatical, like the Dead and Fish.
Yeah, and I get it, man. Like, drop
Yeah.
out, tune in. I got it. Cool. Understand that Timothy Leary came out of came out of one of the Ivy Leagues, and he's the guy that petitioned Congress to make LSD illegal, because how else are you going to push it on the kids? So, like, it's all good. Drop
Has
out.
anyone ever told you that you sound like Mark Maron?
I've had you sound a lot of like a few people in my life, so I'll take Mark Maron.
He's one of my favorite comedians these days. You lived in New Jersey. You lived in New York. I grew up in New Jersey. Been to New York many times. I'll die on the hill that the New Jersey bagels are the best in the world. What do you think?
So here's the thing about bagels like pizza. It is a subjective argument. It's why it's one that will never be won. So I will tell you that when I was a kid, I want to say it was Teaneck, might have been Tenafly. It was Tenafly. There was a deli in Tenafly, New Jersey, that used to make the best bagels on the planet, period, end of conversation. I then, however, lived in Manhattan for many years, and I lived on 21st Street on the Gramercy Park side, and there was an Essa Bagels there that was one of the original Essa Bagels, and that place could melt your face with a brand new bagel, right? Like, it's completely... It's like the slice of pizza. There's, on any given moment, this could be the best slice of pizza in the world. And then on any given moment, you're like, you know what the best slice of pizza is? And that's how I feel about bagels. They have
an interesting thing. Like, I live in Florida. You can find good pizza almost everywhere. You can't find good bagels everywhere.
No, because here's the thing about bagels, and it has nothing to do with the water. That's a bunch of poopy.
I know they tried to bring it down here.
It's an artisan thing. You actually have to care about the starter and the yeast and the flour that you bought and the time and the energy and what you boil it in and the oven that you're cooking it in. And it's not like, I got a recipe for it. Cool. Get back to me in 5 years when it's like, I got it dialed in, man. Come over on Sunday. I got it dialed in. Totally different.
I'm a big collectible guy. We do keepsakes and stuff like that. I see you got some cool stuff behind you. House on fire. You're out. All the pets are out. Anything you need to survive is out. You could bring one thing. What are you taking?
That's a really solid question. If I was running back into my house for that one thing, that is a great. I actually know what it is. I have a keepsake box of like my family. From my last great grandparents that got here in 1910, Ellis Island, the whole thing, like the old past books, all that is what I would grab. Everything else on the wall in my house, and every wall looks like the one behind me. I was a tour manager. I've been to 50 countries with Hugh Jarvis. I've been around the world. I come from a selfies didn't exist generation. So I collected like ephemera, like poster art and things that should already be long gone anyway. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like none of that shit matters. It's my personal memory.
Right.
I'd let it all burn. I don't care. As long as my dog and my two cats, my wife are out.
Yeah.
I don't care
and all that, of course.
But I would run back in because it's all collected in one place, and it's a box I could throw under my arm, and it would matter to me just because, generationally there aren't a lot of me. My mother was an only child. My father didn't have a lot of brothers and sisters. Like, we don't have cousins.
Both my parents were only children. No cousins, no aunts, no uncles. It's crazy.
So like stuff like that for me, it's like that's what I would grab. Just so that I could pass it on. I have plenty of nieces and nephews, just so I could hand that on to the next. Everything else,
we got one more thinker for you, Les. We're gonna let you out of the den with one last question that we've asked almost everyone. I forgot the last couple episodes. I don't know why, but 24 hours to spend with anybody in the world. You can't be related to them. They have to be alive. Who are you choosing, and what are you guys gonna do?
The dude from Dyson.
Dyson, the vacuum maker.
Yeah. I think he might be one of the smartest people on the planet. Quiet as kept. I think that he's ridiculously interesting human being. They make so many other things other than vacuums. Like he's the most renowned strawberry grower in the world because he's revolutionized the hydroponics that they grow them by, and from that has made like 35 products using the tannins from strawberries because he had so many strawberries. Like he's a weird out there dude that's retardedly successful. He strikes me as somebody that would be wildly interesting, that would actually answer questions as opposed to just tell you about themselves. And I like learning from people that I don't actually know. I've met enough celebrities, they don't matter. Most of my heroes have long passed. So other than being like, I'd like to spend, my father's 90, I'd like to spend some more time with my father and my mother while they're still on this earth, my answer would be the dude from Dyson, because he is just like, seriously, I failed 5,000 times before I got the vacuum right.
Is his last name Dyson?
Yeah, his last name is Dyson.
I was going to say, for $1 million, I couldn't tell you what his
last name is Dyson. I want to say like Neil, but yeah. I'm probably wrong on the first name.
333rd episode. That's got to be the first time anyone said it, but it's a great answer. Great answer. And probably one of the more achievable answers that we've gotten on the show.
Possible.
Tell everybody where we can find it. It's tonewell.co, but where else can they find you or information?
So I appreciate it. Again, as Matt just said, ToneWell, ToneWell.co is where you can find us for ToneWell. I myself am just alexfredericks.com. I'm super easy to find in Google and LinkedIn. I'm a relatively friendly enough person. I have no unread messages, emails, or texts, so I will at least answer everything. And I generally like to connect with human beings, so I'm available.
Great. I think you got something here. I know a lot of people that I think could use.
To that, because we're a young company, and I've said this earlier, and I genuinely mean it. If you engage with us and you have secondary questions, you will get every answer, including like, I am not a doctor, but this is what I can tell you.
My mom doesn't want to talk to doctors. She wants to talk to everyone who's not a doctor. She'll tie your email up for days.
All right, fair enough.
All right, check it out. ToneWell.co. Alex, looking forward to hearing about your success.
I appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.